Hi, and welcome to another episode of Northeast Current. I'm your host this week, Tony Schwartz. And, I believe it's Reader's Digest that's always had a column that starts off with laughter, the best medicine. Is it true? We're going to find out whether that's true or not today with our guest, Janine Luby. Did I get that right, Janine?
You did get that right.
All right. So, otherwise, you'd be laughing at me already for getting your name wrong. Janine, you've been on the show before to talk about your laughter therapy, laughter yoga, that type of thing. But you're here today to talk about that somewhat, but for a special cause as well. Something we're calling Laugh at Your Nightmare.
Yes.
Featuring Shane Burkaw. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the event and Shane himself?
Sure. Well, I'm really excited because, as you mentioned, I've been on the show before. I've always talked about how valuable laughter is for everyone, for their body, mind, and spirit. Every year we celebrate World Laughter Day across the country, across the globe, and in Scranton. And people who've attended that have experienced laughter and laughter yoga, but they may have also remembered that when we raised money there, we raised it for a nonprofit in Scranton called the Humor Therapy Fund of the Scranton Area Foundation. That was something that I helped to set up. I worked with the Scranton Area Foundation in 2005 when I was getting my master's degree at Marywood University. Well, now, after, about 8 years of raising funds, this year, this is the very first grant that's being dispersed by the Scranton Area Foundation from the Humor Therapy Fund, and it's specifically for this event, October 27th at Marywood at 3 p.m. It's going to be a presentation by Shane Burkaw that you mentioned. And Shane Burkaw he's a very inspirational individual. He's a 20-year-old who goes to Moravian College, so he's somewhat local. He's in the Bethlehem area, Lehigh Valley, only down the turnpike. And he has actually got national attention. He's been on Katie Couric's show. There's been a snippet on MTV. He has an amazing blog called Laughing at My Nightmare. He basically talks about the challenges and how he gets over the challenges that he has because of the disease he has. He was born with spinal muscular atrophy, and he's in a position where, I don't know the real facts about, his lifespan, but he knows that it's going to shorten his life. He's not going to have a full life. He has to rely on his father, who, helps gets him out of bed in the morning, picks him up, and he's lost a lot of mobility, can't feed himself, but he can type and he can blog, and he attends school. So he's an amazing individual. His blog is very funny. I think he has a wicked sense of humor, and he has a lot of followers on Twitter. And not only did he start this blog, Laughing at My Nightmare, but he was motivated and inspired to start a nonprofit himself by the same name, Laughing at My Nightmare. And his nonprofit is to raise funds and awareness about diseases like his and other muscular diseases. And in addition to that, he wants to promote what he's doing, what he does every day in his blog and in his life, facing our challenges, with laughter and humor. Not just for people who have a disease like him, but for everyone. His message translates to everybody. We all have challenges, whether it's a hangnail, which I'm not trying to condescend, but it's true. Some people can get, stressed out over small things. Whatever. We all have our issues. And he wants to send a positive message of using laughter and humor to get over our problems in the day or our bigger challenges in life.
I'll play devil's advocate here, because some people would say, I can remember years ago there were several comedians out there with MS. A lot of their humor was directed towards themselves and their condition, and they were criticized by some for capitalizing, making a buck off of a terrible disease. Okay, so there are those out there who would then say, by just laughing about your problem, is just hiding from your problem without addressing your problem. But that's not really what we're talking about here, is it?
No, not at all. In fact, as you're asking the question, I have 3 answers formulating in my mind.
All
Because,
right, good.
First of all, one of the best things that you can do, and I say this because I am a comedian and I've studied, is that self-deprecating humor is one of the best things that you can do. And self-deprecating humor is making fun of yourself, because let's face it, the world can be a cruel place. People will point out your faults. People will mock you. So why give them the power to do it when you can do it? And you're saying, I'm aware of this package. I know what I am and what I bring to the table and how it can cause obstacles for me, and I'm going to laugh at it. And it not only is it's empowering is what it is. I don't want to get off topic too far, but there's a gentleman in Canada who started an organization called Stand Up for Mental Health. He has mental health issues. He trains people with everything from schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, everything, to get up on stage and to use their problems as material. And they're incredibly funny. And what it's saying is humor can be your weapon, can be your tool, and it's your disease. So who is anyone else to say what you can or cannot do with it or how you live with it? So that, I want to say that. And then secondly, Shane isn't a comedian per se, but he is a very funny writer. So when he writes things, you know, he can't drive, obviously. He's in an electric motorized chair. He might talk about traffic or make jokes about that, you know. So he's not a comedian, but he is poking fun at his life in his humorous blogs and his writings. And I think, you know, there will be people who will always take the opposite side and want to say, well, what about this, what about that? In fact, you bring that up, and I found it interesting that as I was preparing for his visit, I did a little research. As I said, he was on Katie Couric's show in June. There were many people, I did see posts from other people who have a disease like his who feel that he's milking his situation.
Okay.
And they had comments because they said, well, he's out there and asking for people to give him pity. You know, I don't know what to say about that other than, and these are people with the disease, and they're saying that they live strong lives and they're not looking for pity or attention. That's people's opinions, and I don't know them. I actually don't know Shane personally, but I do know that I enjoy what he writes. I think he has a great sense of humor. That means a lot to me, and his message is positive. So I would say everyone's welcome to have their opinion, but I would say that his message is good. His message is no matter who you are, no matter what your problems are, you can use humor and laughter to help you get through them. And I think that is what he's done. I don't see him as looking for pity. If he can use his situation, his having a disease, to get attention, to make people take a look at their lives a little differently, and to look at laughter as something they can use more often, and humor, I think that's great. You know, and you don't have to have something seriously wrong to need laughter in your life or humor in your life. You know, I mean, we all have our own situations. You don't have to have a disease to need to use humor. Whether it's traffic, whether it's the fact that we're not, you know, you can't pay a certain bill this month. You know, most people would say, well, how can I even laugh at that? You know, how can you laugh at big issues, you know, big or small? Laughter doesn't take away the pain. Laughter and humor doesn't take away the problems that you're facing. But it does help your attitude. It does take your attention away for just a little bit. Maybe you can put a pin in those problems so that you don't keep mounting and mounting, so that your blood pressure's through the roof, so that anger takes over and you do something that maybe you're going to regret. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for using humor and laughter.
I know it firsthand. I'm not going into details. You know, my wife and I, we've suffered a recent loss. And,
I'm sorry.
you know, the first 2 weeks, you are completely devastated. By the third week, for somebody like me who enjoys laughter, enjoys clowning around, having a good time with friends, that is my medicine. You know, I still would have people coming up to me with these sad cow eyes, because that's what they think the mood I'm supposed to be in now for months, when in fact, you're right, laughter doesn't make it go away, and I know that firsthand, especially this month, but it does help you deal with it. And ease it just a little bit. So I totally get it. I'm not criticizing it. I totally get it. I'm just trying to address it for the folks at home who may not. So what can we expect a little bit more then about what's coming up at Marywood?
Okay, so on October 27th, it's a Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. in Nazareth Hall. It's kind of neat. I'm thrilled that Marywood is donating this space because in 2005, I was just finishing up my master's degree there. I was doing it part-time while I was working my corporate job. And that same room, the Latour room in Nazareth Hall on that campus, is where this all started. It was one of my projects as my graduate program that I started, the fund, the Humor Therapy Fund, with the Scranton Area Foundation. We had a fundraiser there that was called Laugh to Live, which later became the name of my business, Laugh to Live. And we had a bunch of great local comedians, improv, everything. We raised money there that night for the Humor Therapy Fund. So now we return, 8 years later, the first grant from the Humor Therapy Fund. So I think it's a really nice, we've gone full circle. It will be held there. Shane will be the featured speaker. We'll start at 3 p.m. I'm going to bring the mural that we did at World Laughter Day a couple years ago, because it's a great thing that we did, a very happy thing we did together, and prints will be available for purchase to raise some more money for the Humor Therapy Fund. I will introduce Shane, but I will also get the audience a little warmed up with some laughter yoga exercises, because I love to take every opportunity to promote laughter yoga, which is basically the practice of laughing as opposed to at a joke, just laughing as a practice or an exercise, just to feel good, because we all could use that. So I'll warm up the crowd with some of that, just say a few words about the Scranton Area Foundation, how wonderful this fund is, that people can contribute, and then introduce Shane. And he actually comes with a couple other people because of his illness, he does get tired after talking for a while. So he'll speak. Some of his associates will speak as well. And it's going to be a real personal message that he'll deliver, and I think people will really enjoy it. The point is just, hopefully people will be inspired. Hopefully they'll look at their own lives differently. Hopefully they'll walk away and think, you know, here's a new tool in my toolbox of how to cope with my problems. And even if they can just walk away with a smile and say, well, that was an hour well spent, I'm happy. That's, you know, and it's free to the public.
Okay,
so.
Free to the public. So
Free.
look into the camera there and tell them one more time the date, the location,
Okay.
the name of the event, and where else they might be able to get some information, whether there's a website, a phone number.
Okay, excellent. They can find out information at laughtolive.net. That is my website. It is Sunday, October 27th, 3 p.m. at the Latour Room in Nazareth Hall on Marywood University's campus. And again, 3 p.m., and it is free to the public. We will be accepting donations for the Humor Therapy Fund so that we can continue to do things like this in the community to help keep life lighter. But it is free to the public. I do ask if you are interested in attending that you RSVP, and you can find out more details on the website. We just want to make sure we have enough seating, but again, it is free to the public, and you can, of course, show up. It'd be
All
great.
right. Janine, I want to thank you for stopping by. You folks need to stop by October 27th over at Marywood for Laugh at Your Nightmare. We could all use a good laugh, so I'll be there. Janine will be there.
Absolutely.
You be there, too. Don't go away, though. Stay right here right now, because we'll be right back with more of Northeast Current after these messages.